you guys were with us. We were there in 2008, 2009. I kind of woke up in 2008, really started to wake up, when they were going to do the stimulus. They sent us all, what, $600? But before that, they sent us a letter to tell us they were going to send us $600. And they spent $42 million to send out that letter to tell us that we were going to get another letter with numbers on it, basically. All right, so they wasted that many. They could have sent out checks to another, I think, 7,000 or 8,000 people. Okay, so that kind of woke me up. I was like, wait, this is out of control. And you know, this was the Republican administration doing that. So that's pretty much what started waking me up. In 2009, we started with the Tea Party, right? How many was at the Tea Party on the 27th of February on 2009? No, there was, the first one was on, I don't know, about in town. I was in St. Louis on that day. But you guys had one in town here on April 15th, right? Right, okay. We went to national Tea Party rallies. We went to D.C. How many people went to D.C. for the first time after the current president was elected? That was the first time I ever went. All right. We joined local patriot groups. Here we are tonight. There's all kinds of groups out there. SEMO Temps popped up. We got Concerned Women of America in St. Louis. I heard people say. They're all over the place. We wrote mission statements. We the people, this is our friends in Farmington. Our mission is to protest the policies which led to national debt, which burdens future generations. So we started working towards those mission statements. Our mission statement, we already talked to you about that tonight, didn't we? We called into talk radio. We listened to talk radio. We sent letters to our representatives. Those help, to some degree, but for the most part. We did letters to the editor. How many people have had a letter to the editor printed? All right, good, I'm getting some of those. We had the 912 project and things like that. Rousing speeches. Big rousing speeches. I'm going to tell you how we're going to do this, we're going to fix this, and we can take care of this. And how many people have been to a big rousing speech? Good. Guess what? How much more debt have we had since 9/11? I looked at my number a lot. Since 9/11, on 9/11, the U.S. debt was $5.7 trillion. What is it today? 1. And holding, right? Magically holding somehow, all of a sudden. Anyway, it's on the cusp of $17 trillion. We did that education here, that kids born 18 years from now will be paying the debt 30 years from now. I can show you that sometime if you'd like to see it. All right, so we exercise our civic responsibility. We'll get a lot into that when we do the training, but civic responsibility, pretty simple, is voting, right? How'd that work out?
Not so well.
Failed. Still got more debt, still got bigger government, still got less freedom, more lawlessness, more crazy scandals than you can believe in, and nobody's getting in trouble for that.
Brian, it didn't fail locally.
Excuse me?
I said it didn't fail locally.
What do you mean?
Southeast Missouri.
Conservative.
We're pretty conservative across the entire southern.
We're doing pretty good here, yes.
We elected Emerson for years.
Yes, hello.
So the question is, though, nationwide and here, we still want to get more smaller government. We want to limit government here too. Where do we go from here? All right. And I missed changing that one spot. You guys have heard of this, right?
Yes.
A republic, if you can keep it. Well, here's a little more about that story. I want to introduce you to Mrs. Powell. Dr. Franklin came out of the Constitutional Convention on September 17, 1787. And as he was going down the street, a gentleman named James McHenry, another signer of the Constitution, was following him. And he heard Dr. Franklin being stopped by Mrs. Powell, and she asked him, Mr. Franklin, what have you given us, a monarchy or a republic? And he replied, a republic if you can keep it. Why did he say that to her? Oh, forgot, yeah. But how? I'm going to have to look at my cheat sheet every once in a while. Mrs. Powell, think about what would Mrs. Powell back in 1787? Did she have the right to vote?
No.
Could she own property?
No.
Could she run for office?
No.
So how was Mrs. Powell, why did he say to her, Mrs. Powell, if you can keep,
She's one of the futures of America.
she's one of the futures of America? It's because,
Keeps her husband in line.
Maybe.
nobody's happy unless mama's happy, right? Exactly. But
Influence then.
the point is influence, right? She has the ability to keep the republic because the intention all along was for Mrs. Powell to be engaged in the governance of our country from start to finish, at every level, all right? And there's a link, if you ever need it, I can send it to you for a little bit more information on Mrs. Powell. Okay? Are we a republic or a democracy?
Republican.
Sure about that?
Well,
Depends on what
I
day it
know I
is.
heard my state senator, not state senator, my U.S. senator talking about spreading democracy. Are we a republic or a democracy?
Representative Republic.
You sure about that? Because if you go to school in Cape Girardeau as a, kindergarten, you are taught the principles of constitutional democracy.
It's in our own schools, right here.
If you go to, first grade in Jackson, Missouri, you are taught in grade, this is a grade card, on being, are we a republic or a democracy? Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution, the U.S. Constitution, says that the federal government will guarantee to the states a what kind of government?
Republic.
Republican form of government. Yet, our children are being taught something else. Okay. Let's see what comes next. All right. Since 1787, we've been in this legislative and election cycle. You know, during the legislative cycle, we focus on issues, right? We worry about getting right to work passed. We worry about getting a tax decrease passed. We worry about getting the prevailing wage laws changed. We focus on issues. During the election cycle, and the tools are the citizens, right? We heard towards this issue. We heard towards that issue. And focus on that. During the election cycle, the focus is on the candidates, right? They divide up, even guys on the same side, divide up Republican in the primaries and go against each other, and citizens are herded towards one candidate or herded towards another candidate, and we focus on them, all right? It's time to turn all this on its head. Under centralized governance, the political parties, the media, and the special interests are working together, right? Where are we? Are we in the mix? No. Citizens are on the outside, right? We're not inside that game. During the legislative cycle, legislators, bureaucrats, lobbyists are working together. The lobbyists certainly aren't giving us any money, are they? Again, we're on the outside. The change that needs to be made is to get us on the inside of that. What's being invested in? Elections, legislation, or citizens? Citizens, practically nothing. Practically nothing. Therefore, we are the sheep. We're being herded around like sheep towards candidates, towards elections, and towards issues in certain bills and so forth. Okay? So I want to introduce you to the perpetual citizen engagement model. We're going to turn this on its head. What's happened so far? All right? We want right to work passed. You may or may not, I don't care. It's just an issue, all right? So far, we found a mission. We had an issue. We're going to go on this mission. We're going to get this passed. We put together a team. We don't have enough people. We build our team. We make a bigger team. We find people that we want to have work with us. We recruit people. We don't know what we're doing. I don't know anything about it. So we get training. We learn how to do it. We either succeed or we lose. And if we lose, it's pretty devastating, right? Because we've focused all that energy and effort on this training. What we're going to do is we're going to turn that around. We're going to flip this on its head, and starting tonight, we're starting with recruiting. This is where we're trying to get you involved in this program. Get you trained, build teams, go on missions. It's a completely alternative way of the citizen being engaged in politics. All right? It gets us in during the legislative cycle. We'll be inside working with them, working with Wayne, working with Scott, working with Jason, working with all of them. Yes, exactly. Inside working with them, having built influence and credibility and what's that? Not control. What's the other one? Influence.
Big word.
We will learn how to execute our civic authority. All right? What's happening here? This is a citizen. This is a state senator. She is exercising her civic authority. I'll get a little bit more into detail on what's exactly going on there in a little bit. What is civic authority? It's the right and power to instruct and hold government representatives accountable before, during, and after the decision-making process. Right? It's a step above civic responsibility. We vote, go away, we elected the perfect candidate, we go away, we come back 2 years later, we're not happy with what they did. Whose fault is that?
Ours.
Ours. What is the threat? We face the progressive eradication of our civic authority. Okay? Not so much in Missouri, some, but the effort is to keep the citizen out of the process. All right? You just, you guys just stand over here and we'll take care of things and get things done.
Nothing to see here.
Huh?
Nothing to see here.
Yeah, nothing to see here. Don't worry about it. We got this under control.
You don't understand.
Right. All kinds of obstacles are put in the way of the citizen engagement. And some of it's purposeful, and some of it's just part of what it is. It's a beast. And we send our good people into the belly of the beast, and they get all churned up in that, and we need to be engaged with them. Okay? At the election cycle, this effort, putting this alternative method in, will put us inside the effort with the political parties, the media, and the special interests during the election cycle. Again, we're turning this on our head. We want to pass a tax decrease. We built a team. We got training as necessary, and then we got more people to help us. When we didn't pass it or we didn't pass it, all over, everybody went their separate ways, and nothing else happened. This is a perpetual citizen engagement model. We start with recruiting tonight, we get the training, we build our teams, and we go out on missions. All right? Teams don't have to be a certain size. We don't need a 40, 50 person team group here. It can be 2 or 3 people at the county commission meeting. It can be one person, which doesn't work real well, at a city council meeting, but it doesn't have to be a huge thing. Sometimes it'll be a good sized team. In Tennessee, from their training there, they had 20 trained up citizens in the Capitol every day of legislation last year, every day during the legislative session last year. Okay? So, from this recruiting, we get training from the Center for Self-Governance. There's 5 levels of training. I'll get into that in a little bit. Homework. You build teams. Tennessee Center for Self-Governance has a team. Notice how Tea Party has an amazing team in Memphis. They're doing all kinds of things. It's repeatable and perpetual. Once the mission is over, the team is still there. You're still working together. You've all gone through the same training. You're doing some efforts in the administrative side to keep things going anyway. So that keeps the team together so that it can continue to go out on missions and continue to grow. In Missouri, we've got Cape County Tea Party, working with We the People in Farmington and various other groups. We now got St. Louis Tea Party into the fold. The co-founder of St. Louis Tea Party, who's heard of Bill Hennessy? A few of you, okay? He took the training on Saturday. He said this is the most important thing that's happened to St. Louis Tea Party since February 27, 2009, when they had their first Tea Party. He was that impressed with this training. Okay, recruiting, what we're doing today. We're visiting liberty groups, religious institutions, education, anybody we can possibly talk to. So we are asking you, as part of the recruiting process, to think about folks that we could talk to and present this to. Training. The vision was to train up, and the objectives were to train up 300 people this year, 250 people this year. They've just absolutely blown that away. They are now in training in 12 states, and they have requests for training in over 30 states. All right, so this effort is really gaining speed and power, not power. What's the word? Momentum. That's the word. Thank you. All right, so what do we do? I'm going to step over here so I can see this a little better. Level 1, training, foundations in self-governance. Understanding what self-governance is, understanding how we got to where we are, and learning about how to build teams, learning about what can destroy teams. It's a shallow dive into a lot of subjects. And it teaches you to get a bigger picture and a better understanding of what you're going to have to do going forward to become Mr. Powell, to be that person inside guiding the way government is to control the efforts of instituted government. All right. Between each level, there's homework. When we went through the first level, we had to do a 3,000-word paper. All right? It's been knocked down to a 1,500-word paper, and it's on your issue, what you feel most passionate about. A 1,500-word paper, and then you just meet with an elected official. And you set up a meeting for 10 minutes with an elected official, and you better save 2 hours because it seems like almost everybody that met with somebody was there for a couple of hours by the time it was all said and done. Teach you how to deal with that. Level 2. Communicating for self-governance. A lot of what he said tonight goes right along with our level 2. Building influence, building credibility, building relationships, learning how to meet with and influence your elected official, or even not elected officials, other people within the community. It's learning how to build that credibility so you can get things done. Again, there's homework after that level. Level 3, a macro understanding of governments and team building. I'm going to make sure I read this to you so I get it right. Bear with me just a second. It's designed to give a macro understanding of the state legislature, county, and city government. Learn to overcome obstacles and hurdles while navigating the local, state, and federal legislative process. Prepares us for detailed inside and outside game. Learn how to deal with the inside game and the outside game. What's the inside game and the outside game? Does anybody know that? You know how to get things done inside the legislature? No. This process will teach us that. Level 4, micro understanding of government and team dynamics. Teaches us game theory. Understand the detailed processes and inner workings of our state legislatures. Learn how to navigate and manipulate the inside game, and to develop and execute an outside game to influence policy. You learn how to determine who's going to be for an issue or against an issue, or who can be educated to move whichever way you want to move on an issue. All right. And level 5 we haven't taken yet. Most of the people that have working through this process are through level 4. Level 5 is pathways to self-governance and teamwork. This allows us to choose between 2 pathways. Basically, the pathway that we run for office and effectively manage our campaign. And the second pathway is to teach us how the knowledge and skills and abilities to operate the inside and outside game. As basically a personal citizen lobbyist. We're building citizen seals. We're inside the government and know how to run the inside and outside game. A perfect example of a game that goes on in legislatures or in elected bodies is, hi Representative, I've got a bill on right to work. I'm really interested in getting that passed, and I know you're kind of not on board with that, but if you vote for my bill, I'll vote for your tax increase bill, and we'll both be happy. Is that okay with you? All right. Is that written down anywhere? Is that written down in the newspapers for us to know about? No. That's why we need to be inside. That's why as a citizen, Mrs. Powell has to be in there and know how to navigate these things and know how to gain intelligence so that we can control instituted government. All right? That's what's the part that's been missing. We send everybody off into the government. They're in the Leviathan, they're in the belly of the beast, they're getting eat up by the acid. Hey, take care of me on this issue or that issue, work with me on this issue or that issue. I want to get elected again, so I got to do that, this, that, or the other. It's a nightmare in there, and the pressures are amazing. I can imagine to vote for the override veto on this. If you're a Democrat that's wavering on the tax increase, HB 253 right now, I believe it is. They got to be coming down at you from all sides right now. And where are we? Are we in there taking care of that? Maybe we're sending letters. Maybe we're sending, making phone calls. If we're sending a form letter, those are getting tossed in the pile or in the trash. Maybe you become a check mark. By building the influence and the credibility and knowing the inside and the outside, we can get what Mrs. Powell wants done. We can save the republic. All right, we're losing the republic here. If we lose our ability to exercise our civic authority, we're gonna lose the republic. We swing to a democracy. Does that sound familiar? We're teaching democracy. Let's swing to a democracy. Everybody votes himself out of the largesse of the government. They figure out they can do that. That'll eventually fall down to what? Anarchy. Then we'll be begging for somebody to take care of us, and we're right back to where we came from 235 years ago, right? Okay. So that's what we're talking about here, is saving the republic. And how do we do that? By using our civic authority to control instituted government. All right? Now, why does it work? Self-governance. We're selling self-governance here, right? We're selling freedom. And that is such an easy thing to sell. If you're having a debate with somebody and you frame your debate from a point of freedom and liberty and self-governance and being responsible for yourself, you're going to be able to win those points. And the best thing for Republicans, or any party for that matter, is it's a great way to reach across the aisle, all right, or into other groups. I have completely changed the way that I interact with people that I debate with in the various forums, either on Facebook or on the newspaper's website or wherever. I know that I may at some point be working with those people on a specific mission, right? I may be working with the ACLU at some point. I may be working with the Democrats at some point. At the Mid-South Tea Party, they're working with Democrats on a regular basis to the point where they have one Democrat who says she, I believe she said this, she hates white people. And she spoke positively of the Mid-South Tea Party 12 times in her speech.
Hug them.
All right? So that's how.
And hug them.
And hug them.
Oh,
And hug
wow.
them. So this effort in building these relationships goes way across party lines and helps get things done, because on a given issue, you'll find that you'll agree with them and you can come to common ground on certain things. Another example, Chief Justice Ginsburg was the only dissenting vote on a Fourth Amendment case. That was a case where I think they thought something was going on. They knocked on the door. The guys didn't say, you can't come in without a warrant, so they went in anyway. And basically, the 7 justices decided that we have to assert our Fourth Amendment right, or we don't have it. And Ginsburg was the only one that dissented from that. I'm like, well, there's one where I agree with somebody who I'm normally against. So I've learned, and that's part of the credibility and influence of level 2, to temper how I handle things. David, did you have something you wanted to add in here regarding the
Communicating.
communicating? Okay.
This whole, my name is David Larson. I'm a retired Marine, 22 years Master Sergeant.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming, Scott.
Go Army.
Miss Mary. But this whole evolution that we go through here is not a matter of issues, it's a matter of principles. And as Brian said, we gave a seminar up in St. Louis this past weekend, and as we were sitting there teaching the class, giving out the information on this, people were saying, well, the government can't do that, the government can't, they can't do that to us. And then all of a sudden, the paradigm shifted, and it says, why are we allowing them to do that to us? So we're not talking issues in this class. We're a non-partisan organization teaching these classes. We teach self-governance, and we rely mainly on principles. And that's where Brian was going. And the founders relied on 4 virtues to sustain individual self-governance. First one was self-reliance, courage, responsibility, and moderation. And what this course does is take those from your own self and move it towards how you would interact with your elected officials. To prove that we are nonpartisan, I'm going to read a couple of things here. Shall the local jurisdiction name discontinue applying and collecting the local sales tax on the titling of motor vehicles, trailers, boats, and outboard motors that were purchased from a source other than a licensed Missouri dealer? Approval of this message will result in a reduction of local revenue to provide for vital services for a local jurisdiction name, and it will place Missouri dealers of motor vehicles, outboard motors, boats, and trailers at a competitive disadvantage to non-Missouri dealers of motor vehicles, outboard motors, boats, and trailers. That is actual wording that needs to go into an amendment on this new sales and use tax that's coming up. Now here's the other quote. Shall Missouri law be amended to deny individual families and small businesses the ability to access affordable health care plans through a state-based health benefit exchange unless authorized by statute, initiative, or referendum through an exchange operated by the federal government as required by the Federal Health Care Act? Now, from that wording, what parties, political parties, did this verbiage come from?
Liberal. Yes, again.
That's right. Republicans first, and the Democrats second. Now, from the homework that we do in these classes, we find out how to go in and research these types of issues, and in that way we can engage with our elected officials and how we feel about these based on the principles of self-governance. Here's and then this whole self-governance training here may very well be the answer to the question of how do we keep our republic. Benjamin Franklin told Mrs. Powell, a republic, if you can keep it, then nobody ever told Mrs. Powell how to do it. By going through these levels of training, you will be more than equipped to engage with your local officials and get your points across.
Cool. All right. As I said, we do the recruiting, we do the training. All right. There's homework between each level. The training is a full day on a Saturday, or they split it up into 2 4-hours. They've done some 3-day trainings, but those can be a little hard to deal with. But each training session is 8 hours of training in the class, and then about 10 hours of effort between classes. How long did it take you to write your paper, Alan? 30 minutes? 30 minutes, okay. How long did you talk to your elected official?
Really advertisers.
Okay, so, but it's not hard, and once you get rolling on that paper, and other people from other classes will help mentor you through if you're not used to writing papers. Some of us haven't written papers in years, okay? Once we get the training going, you can start the team efforts right out of the box. We're not done yet with the training, but we're out there working with our elected officials to try to work for self-governance and smaller government. You have local teams, state team, federal teams, 3 C's, communication, collaboration, and coordination. You can teach us how to do that. Intelligence, research, how to gain intelligence on the inside and outside game, all right? You're talking about voter databases and things like that too. How to do research. When we had our first class, level 1, I was the only one that showed up with a laptop. There were 17 of us. There was, I think, 7 of us in the level
9.
4 class.
9. Oh, in level 4, I'm sorry.
And there was 5 laptops, all right? So it's funny how they've gone to doing their own research and really getting into understanding how to look up information and find it and pull it out. Building relationships. I don't know if this is exactly 100%, but when Jason came back from his first week in Washington after being sworn in, he came to the Republican Women Club and he said, "Hey, Brian, I thought about you when I cast my first vote." I don't know if he did or not, but I'm glad he's thinking about our effort here while he's up there voting there.
He said it, Brian, just like that.
And influence, it helps us build influence. If you don't have influence, you can't get anything done. There's a light switch over there. Behind that light switch is what? Power. All right? What controls that power? If I influence Mr. Ricks to go turn that light off or on, that's what controls the power. That's how, same at the state, local, and federal teams. Okay? This is old. This is what? 2 months old now, and they're so far beyond Kentucky, it's not even funny, but we want to get more people from Cape Girardeau into this mix, all right? Missions, different activities during the legislative cycle versus the elective cycle. We turn it on its head. During the election cycle, we focus on issues. During the legislative cycle, we focus on candidates. We use the issues as tools, and we use the candidates. Find that out during the training. You're like, what? I don't have any speakers, so you're going to have to skip over what she had to say. All right? Here's a case study. Man killed by SWAT team described by neighbors as hoarder. More than 24 animals were removed from his home. All right? Now, I told you about the Mid-South Tea Party. They are Shelby County. Shelby County is Memphis, and then there's the city of Memphis, kind of like St. Louis. The city of Memphis is separate from the county. A gentleman, I think he lived, right on the edge of the city of Memphis, 400 feet from the county line, had, I think, 25 dogs. They tried to create this animal control ordinance in Shelby County, Tennessee. It would allow anonymous neighbor tips to call in and say there's a problem with the dogs. A high school graduate with or a GED could be given handcuffs and guns and go into the house and do a kibble and water check.
Oh, wow.
All right, if they didn't have enough water, or if the water was dirty, or whatever. Handcuffs and guns. Search and seizure authority. Result, somebody called, gave an anonymous tip. One of these guys shows up. This guy that had those hoarding dogs had mental problems. So he didn't deal well with the guy from the high school. The guy from the high school calls the SWAT team. SWAT team comes in, kills the guy.
This is true story.
This is a true story. This is not chat. This is a true story. All right? The solution is this. They were able to, in Shelby County, stop that bill, all right? So that was what they tried to do in Shelby County. This happened just inside Memphis. In Memphis, they passed it. After they were able to stop it in Shelby County, Memphis passed it, I think, almost as a you know, in-your-face kind of thing, all right? But the folks with the Mid-South Tea Party, they developed strategy and tactics based on the training they received. They researched the information on the bill about how many problems there were with the animals. The elected officials that were trying to get this ordinance passed were changing data on them, and they were doing the research, so they were able to say, how come this data changed? What's going on here? So they gained intelligence and knew what they were talking about. They coordinated with legislators that agreed with them, coordinated with other citizens, controlled and coordinated the media. They testified, got up in front of people and testified, just like Esther did last night and yesterday. And they persevered and stopped it and slowed it down so much for 6 months that they eventually gave up. All right? So that is a big success. That person, that hoarder, that person with a little bit of a problem won't have that happen to them in Shelby County like that happened to them in Memphis. All right? So that's a sad example of just how powerful this can be. That person could be alive today if this team had been able to do this work in Memphis itself. State team example. Here's one of our trainers on the right. That's Kurt. He put a big hole in my wall.
True story.
Guy on the left is just another true story. Yeah. Guy on the left is a voter. The issue escaped me earlier, and now it's escaping me now. Was the healthcare compact. All right. In Tennessee, they were trying to work with 5 other states or a number of other states to push it back in the way Obamacare and have their own healthcare compact across several states and use the economy of scales to keep the cost down. All right, so they were working with other states. One of their officials was going around trying to get people not to vote for the healthcare compact. This was a Republican who was trying to get them to vote for not compact. So they got the intelligence. They went out into the district and they learned the powers of the district. And this is all information from the district that they organized. And here's our friend again, exercising her civic authority with her team members around to the elected official, giving him the information that they went out and got from the district. Right? And those are signed cards from the district. Because of the relationships that they built in this team, in the state team, this is after they passed the bill in the House and the Senate. This is the conference committee, and these are Tennessee Center for Self-Governance people in the conference with them, working to iron out the differences between the bills. It went back into the House. I think it failed the House still. A game was played to make it sound like the person was wanting to pass the bill, even voted for the bill, but that person orchestrated its defeat anyway. And now, but because they're there, they have that intelligence and they can deal with it. But the bottom line is, which one of these people are the elected officials? Mm-hmm. These guys right here, elected? No. Elected official, Center for Self-Governance team, right in the middle of it, right in there working with them as part of the effort to get things done. All right, this whole system is scalable and transferable. It can be done at every level of government. It can go across teams, across the states, all 58 states. Didn't you say 57 and I've got one more to do? I caught Mark on that the other day. So watch this. They're in far more many states than this. They're in, well, we're getting into Illinois. We're having training in Quincy. I'm going to Virginia. They're in
Montana, Idaho,
they're in Utah.
California.
Just moving right along. This is gonna take this country by storm. So just to recap, we talked about civic responsibility. Voting is the main part of civic responsibility. Jury duty is another part. We know that is part of it, but it's not the be-all end-all, because then we're sending somebody that we care about into the belly of the beast, and we need to help them once they get there. Civic authority, we talked about that. That's what we're going to learn how to exercise, and we hope that you will consider coming and taking this training and learning how to exercise your civic authority to become and be Mrs. Powell. And we know that the threat is progressive eradication of our civic authority. We need to fight that. Once we lose our civic authority and our ability to control instituted government, we lose the republic. We need to get the powers that be investing in citizens, along with the elections and with the issues. And we need to become a special interest for self-governance. Again, we're selling freedom here. We're looking at an issue or a candidate from, do they advance our ability to self-govern, govern ourselves? And we talked about the perpetual citizen engagement model, recruiting, training, teams, and missions. We don't even necessarily care if the mission succeeds, because what do we gain from it? We gain intelligence. We may not get this mission, but we get the next mission, and because we're doing it backwards, we're doing it an alternate way, the team still moves on and continues, and we go on to the next mission, right? And I didn't even do, this is my favorite part of it. Earlier when I talked about the rousing speeches, and I said I'd come back to that, and you guys let me forget about coming back to that, shame on you. How many speeches have you gone to where the gentleman or the lady stands up there and says, I'm going to tell you at the end of the speech exactly what we need to do to take care of this problem to save our country? I've been to dozens of those speeches, right? I was at one of those speeches at Lincoln Days in St. Louis. I leaned over to Barbie, I said, he's not going to tell us anything. And
he didn't tell
he
us
got done with the
anything.
speech and he didn't tell us anything. Well, my friends, this is the end of the speech, all right? This is a way to do it. I think this is the way to do it, and I think this will save the republic. I think this is powerful enough that had we had this in place in all 57 states, 58, in the nation, and when this IRS thing came down and we had done some intelligence and had to make some changes here and there, when this came down, when the IRS thing came down, we could have already had a vote to repeal the 16th Amendment. Everybody knows what the 16th Amendment is, right? Does anybody want to keep it?
No.
Okay, all right. I think this is going to be that powerful when we get this across the nation. So I hope you will consider taking part in it, because it's exciting. It changes the way you think about things, changes the way you look at issues and candidates. It is a true paradigm shift. Okay, so now what? Take the training. Number one thing, take the training. We have training coming up on the 31st of August. Kind of.
We
We're
do.
trying to, we do, we're having
We
training
do.
somewhere.
We just are not, we are having training, and that's, Poplar Bluff is having trouble to secure a place, and it may be right here in this room or this next room. 31st, for sure, 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock. If you are interested, I have paper, put up your hand, and I want you to fill it out, and I will contact you personally and let you know exactly where the training is going to be, but we will post it on our website just as soon as I have a place confirmed.
Jan is the coordinator for Missouri for getting classes and making them happen, all right? She makes sure that she works with a host to get the place and get it organized. She works between that host and the Tennessee Center for Self-Governance people to make sure we got a date scheduled and a trainer. If this is to succeed, we need more trainers, all right? So David and I are working to become trainers. It is not easy. There's so much to it that, I mean, you can see I'm still learning how to present it. The training, 8 hours of that is exhausting, and I'm learning how to do that too. I think it's so important. If I can figure out a way to do it full time, I will. All right?
And
And I hope some more people will consider being trainers.
I'm so sorry, I'm just gonna add to that, even if you don't desire to go all the way for all the 5 levels, I can tell you, and I have a few people in here that will attest to that, even if you just take level 1, has it changed your life? Has it changed the way you look at things, approach things, even in your own household with your own family? Because, you know, even kids have a right to self-governance. It changes everything, it really does. Level 1, a lot of
David said don't go quite that far.
So definitely go to their website, check out for some more information. Do we have flyers here tonight?
I do have a few
We have
flyers.
some flyers here tonight, we don't have a lot of them.
Yeah, it didn't give
Let me
you
finish
one.
this slide and then I'll get right to you, all right? Or is it about this slide?
And we are over time, I'm sorry about that, but
Okay, If you do not, if this is not something for you, if this is classroom, this is 1,500 word paper, this is writing an op-ed, this may not be for you, but if you are interested in it and want to help, definitely donate to support. Nobody's making any money off of this. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. The gentleman that comes here and trains us is retired Air Force, go Army, and he's not taking a salary or anything to that effect off of this. They do pay his expenses to get around, but that's it. Build a team. Start working with us that are already out there as teams. I'm telling you, stuff is going on that needs citizen attention, needs Mrs. Powell's attention. You guys we're all Mrs. Powell's, and we need to work with other ones out there. At the end of the what's the word? The Declaration of Independence, we loosely approach our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. We as Americans need to redo that. We need to do it again. And we can do it as Mrs. Powell's, because even Mrs. Powell, when she didn't have the right to vote, couldn't own property, couldn't run for office, she had the power to get this done. She had power to take the government and keep control of it. And we hope that you will jump in and take this, at least take level 1 training. It will change the way you look at things. Anything else? Dave? Alan?
Okay, I just took this class early August, so I've just completed level 1. And so it was a Thursday, Friday class. On Saturday, I was so excited about them. They had bugged me for months.
Did he point to me?
This class. They did. And so anyway, I took the class, but on Saturday, the day after, I went out and I started recruiting, and I got 35 people interested to take this class. Now at this point, I had one person up in St. Louis that took the class yesterday. Saturday. Teresa Stone.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So she's fired up too.
She's fired up. Okay. Talked to the people down in Poplar Bluff. We've got 5 of them signed up. We went down and made a presentation. Dave went down and made a presentation because there was 5 people I know of that signed up there, and those were 5 that I had signed up. But anyway, I mean, talking about getting some energy going, take this class, and you'll go, wow, I can see now my energy, you beat your head up against the wall about stuff, and you feel like you don't accomplish anything. But with this, it's like, okay, this isn't something that's going to happen overnight, but it's something that's going to work. And absolutely gives you direction, and you feel like, yeah, my energy's going in place, it's going to be, in the right way. Anyway, one thing about Poplar Bluff, though, is that one of that group down there has ran for office in the city council. I was talking to David about this last night. And anyway, those guys, of course, haven't taken this class yet. But anyway, she is on the city council, and she has discovered some stuff in the Poplar Bluff City Council that has...
Is that her?
That is her.
Okay.
And she has all of a sudden went, hello, there's some corruption going out here. This lady is about ready to be slammed. I mean, she's going to have an anal exam that she has never, ever expected in her entire life.
Leave that off of
okay? Yeah. So she's one of these people that we need to stand behind and help her, okay?
And get a team in place.
And get a team in place to help her.
Barbie.
Okay, I'm part of the team here at Cape. And the classes are absolutely awesome. And you do become a team, you become a family, and Silvio and Esther and David and Brian and Jan.
We get real close. You fight.
We learn.
You learn. Not too close.
Not too close. And I think we are a great
my
team.
bed.
No, I would go over there.
A little more information on what we need.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Any questions?
Oh, I was just going to say on that deal with the woman, said on the news last night, and what is it, who is she saying did that? Who was the man?
The city manager.
Okay, he's saying, well, I have people that were on that for like 8 years.